The phrase climate change was only used in its current form in the late 1950s, but today it permeates our lives and has become the popular explanation for any weather that doesn't fit into our preconceived idea of what is expected.
The science of climate change is a physical science, and the physics are very straightforward. It tells us that the warmer a body of air, the more water vapour it can contain, and if the dynamics of the atmosphere are right, that will translate into deeper clouds, hence heavier rainfall. So although we'll get much dry weather in summer, when we get, for instance, thunderstorms or any episodes of bad weather, they will be associated with much heavier rainfall. So within that drier picture, we could find more incidences of flash flooding.
The findings of the fourth assessment report by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change in 2007 leave us in no doubt that the process of climate change is real and one of the most serious threats to the planet. Scientists involved in the report believe that global temperatures are likely to rise between 1.1 and 6.4 Celsius, with serious implications around the globe. It is increasingly difficult to separate the day-to-day weather from the changing climate over a prolonged period of time.
Climate has changed through history, and that's a very natural process, and some of it's to do with the orientation of the planet compared to the sun. Some of it's to do with very natural processes that happen on an annual timescale, like the seasons, or longer even, like El Niños and things like that. But there's also an unnatural component, you can say, or component driven by humans. And that's because we're changing what's in the air.
Storms, floods and countless other extreme weather systems have been happening for hundreds of millions of years, all occurring as the result of various normal meteorological factors and conditions.
When it comes to any one event, a storm, maybe in the summer, or some flooding in the summer, can we say it's caused by climate change? No. It's very difficult to say it's not part of the natural process. However, over a period of time, we can see how things are occurring more often, and there is an underlying trend of the warming and changes in extreme events.
In a weather forecast, we use many tools to understand the present conditions and then deliver a presentation that will enable people to get a grasp of what the atmospheric conditions will be like over a relatively short period of time. When we look at climate, however, we take a much more long-term approach, using supercomputers and sophisticated modelling techniques to analyse trends that will take place over many decades.
Well, for myself as a forecaster, and I think this goes for many of my colleagues in the industry, it's very difficult because whenever we get weather out of the ordinary, people jump on it and say that must be down to climate change, but they forget we've had extremes before. So what we can say is climate change tells us that these extremes are likely to happen more often in future, but it's actually very, very difficult, nigh on impossible, to say any one particular event is down to climate change.
By its very nature, climate change will only be seen in its entirety over the course of decades or even centuries. The difficulty for us weather forecasters will always be in recognising the impact climate change has on the weather, while ensuring that we're able to point out that not all weather is a result of climate change.